Angela had always been a survivor. Her life had been a string of hardships, stitched together with grit and quiet endurance. She worked the night shift at Millie's Diner, a greasy spoon on the corner of 8th and Maple, where the smell of bacon grease clung to her uniform long after she clocked out. She lived alone in a small, drafty apartment with peeling wallpaper and pipes that clanged when the heat kicked on. Though lately, the heat rarely worked because she couldn't keep up with the utility bills. The fridge hummed emptily more often than not, and her meals were usually the leftover scraps the cook let her take home. Angela had grown used to making do, but this week was different. Rent was due tomorrow. She was already late on her electricity bill, and when she checked her purse that night, she found only a single crumpled dollar. It wasn't just money. It was a symbol of how close she was to losing it all. The city streets were unusually quiet as she left work, her shoes clicking against the wet pavement. Streetlights reflected in shallow puddles, and a chilly wind tugged at her jacket. She tightened her grip on her purse, thinking about that last dollar. As she turned down 7th Avenue, she saw him. A man sat hunched against a brick wall near a shuttered bookstore. His beard was thick and unkempt, his hands red from the cold. A faded blanket was wrapped around his shoulders, and a piece of cardboard rested against his knees. Angela's first instinct was to avert her eyes and walk faster. She'd seen countless people like him in the city. Sometimes she gave change, but tonight, she had nothing to spare. But then, she made the mistake of looking at him. Really looking. His eyes, though weary, still carried a spark of dignity, as if life hadn't completely crushed him. There was no bitterness in his expression, just quiet hope. And when he noticed her staring, he gave a small, almost apologetic smile. "Even a smile," he said softly, "is more than I usually get." Her throat tightened. She thought of her empty cupboards, her overdue bills, the bus fare she needed to get home. That dollar meant something to her, but it meant survival to him. Slowly, almost against her own will, Angela opened her purse and pulled out the wrinkled dollar bill. She placed it in his hand. "I wish it were more," she whispered. His face lit up with gratitude, his eyes glistening. "Bless you. Truly bless you." She forced a smile, her chest heavy, and continued walking. Angela ended up walking the 3 miles home because she no longer had bus fare. Her feet ached, but strangely, her heart felt lighter. The next morning, Angela trudged into Millie's Diner, her eyes heavy with lack of sleep. As she tied her apron, her manager, Bill, waved her over. "Angela, someone's here asking for you. Says it's urgent." Confused, she followed him into the back office. And then she froze. Sitting in the small chair was the man from the alley, but he was hardly recognizable. His beard was neatly trimmed, his hair combed, his clothes crisp and pressed. He looked 10 years younger than the man she'd seen the night before. "Good morning, Miss Angela," he said with a warm, confident smile. "I don't think we were properly introduced. My name is David Harlow." Her heart skipped. That name sounded familiar. David continued, "I'm the founder of the Harlow Foundation. We work to provide housing and jobs to those in need. I sometimes go undercover to see how people respond, not just to poverty, but to humanity itself. Last night, you gave me your last dollar." Angela's eyes widened. You weren't." He nodded gently. "I was, and I saw something rare. You had nothing to spare, yet you gave without hesitation." Her hands trembled, not knowing what to say. David opened a leather briefcase and slid an envelope across the desk. Inside was an official job offer, an administrative position at his company, with a salary 3 times what she made at the diner plus full benefits. "I want people like you on my team," David said sincerely. "Compassion can't be taught. It's who you are. And that's the kind of person I trust to help others." Angela stared at the paper, tears spilling down her cheeks. For so long, life had felt like a constant battle against scarcity, against loss. She had given away her last dollar, thinking it was the end of her rope. But that act of kindness had become the turning point of her life. Weeks later, Angela walked into her new office at the foundation headquarters. Her clothes were fresh, her fridge was full, and her bills were paid. But more importantly, her heart was full of something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. She often thought back to that night, to the cold street and the man with the cardboard sign. It reminded her of a truth she would never forget. Sometimes, when you give with nothing left to spare, life gives back in ways you could never imagine.
If you enjoyed this story and would like to see more from us, click the like and subscribe button. Make sure your notifications are on so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.